Hallo, willkommen zurück bei Zodiac Trial. Im letzten Part haben wir mit fast allen Charakteren gesprochen insgesamt, außer Rooster, und wir haben die erste Voting-Runde abgewartet. Ach ja, und die Leiche von Dog ist in Flammen aufgegangen. Yay! Eine Menge ist passiert. Und nun reden wir mit Rooster, dem letzten auf der Liste. I hadn't heard much from Rooster about the whole incident, but he was also there. Surely he had something to chip on this debate, right? I found him wandering in some auditorium. I thought he was also looking for someone. Ah, Mouse. What is it? Want my autograph? Rooster, I thought we established at this point that I'm not just some fan. Of course, you're just not some fan. You're my #1 fan, right? Mm-hmm. A kid. You do know that a lot of this is a stick, right? It's hard to tell sometimes. Anyways, what did you want to talk about? The Amadeus Bowen case. Is there anything you can tell me about it? That old thing? Don't get me started on it. Just think of that Amadeus asshole will get me heated. Look, I wasn't even brought in during the trial, so clearly nothing I saw was all that in particular relevant, huh? But there's got to be something you can tell me. I don't know what you expected from me, Mouse. I came in, sat down, by Tiger. I had one of those water cups sitting out because I was thirsty. And I don't know, something in that thing just didn't agree with me. I had to go to the restroom instead. After I dealt with that situation, I went into the waiting room. I was kept waiting for that for far too long. The time of progeny is very precious, Mouse. Don't forget that. So I stumped to his office just to find he wasn't even there. I looked around the place, but then Sheep came in and started nagging me, telling me to leave. So you just looked around his office? Just like the architecture? Well, you know, what if I was looking for something else? What something else? Look, my parents are quite wealthy and influential. However, I ended up estranged from them when I stood by my morals, when I couldn't condone something they were doing. But from my conversations with them, it seemed like Amadeus might have been the real reason they were doing what they were. So, is it such a crime to look around the office for a late asshole I was suspicious of? I didn't even find anything. Okay, settle down there, Rooster. I didn't mean to accuse you of anything. No, the fault's all mine. I apologize for losing control there. It's just these damn death games, they're starting to get to me. I thought I was cooler than it is. It's a reasonable reaction. Not for a hero. And you're a hero? Well, you tell me, am I a hero? Oh ja, warum nicht? I mean, obviously, you've gotten through a dangerous death game once before, and you're going to do it once again. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You're exactly right, Mouse. Thank you. Don't mention it. Anyways, I've got to get going. Lots of things to do after all. Well, good luck with all of this, Mouse. We need someone to sort things out. If it's not me, it should be you. Und Sirene in 3, 2, 1. And just like that, our conversation was over. That was pretty much everybody. Da haben wir sie. And as if on cue, I heard the 2-minute alarm ring out. I suppose this was the moment of truth, wasn't it? Time to find out what exactly we were dealing with. Made my way to my computer and watched it come to life. Then I nervously read the card list. Mouse of clubs, ox of clubs, ox of diamonds, bunny of clubs, bunny of diamonds, dragon of clubs, snake of hearts, rooster of clubs. Well, there you had it. Irgendjemand hat die Tiger-Karte genommen. We were dealing with an enemy. I can't say I didn't expect it. In theory, that enemy would be cut off at the pass now, as we find out the identity. But something about that felt unbelievable to me. I just didn't think it was particularly likely. Still, it's not like we could give up hope. Time to stick with the plan. I gave a mouse of hearts to Tiger. I prayed, hoping that was the right move. And then, as the computer shut down, I left the classroom and started making my way to the library. Time to check the carnage. In the library, everybody just started looking at what was projected on the screen. Everybody's current scores were shown. Mouse has 0 points. Ox has 0 points. Tiger has 6 points. 6 points? Bunny has 0 points. Dragon has 0 points. Snake has 0 points. Horse has 0 points. Sheep has 0 points. Rooster has 0 points. Monkey has 0 points. Dog has -1 point. Pike has 0 points. Dog has -1 points? Warte. Doc müsste doch dann... Hat Doc die Karte von Tiger? Was? Ich überlege gerade was. Also, mir überlegt Horse. Genau. Neben mir ist Ochs. Okay, wir hatten Maus, Ochs. Dragon, Snake. Bunny, Horse, Sheep. Das passt. Das will passen. Das heißt, Dog müsste die Karte von Tiger haben.
So, this means... Snake was right. There's a traitor. We're doomed.
Okay, everybody. Let's get calm and think about this. What could this mean? It means the dog has a tiger card, right? I mean, math isn't my strong suit or anything. But if I understand the whole wheel thing right, a tiger card should be worth -1 point to him. So clearly he has a tiger card.
How did it happen, though? I looked at him. He was...
No one's disputing the fact that he was dead. Most likely, someone gave him the tiger card.
What's the fucking point of that?
Isn't that dumbing us all?
Perhaps that's the point. Or it's to simply soothe discord. Well, maybe the situation can be salvaged, right? If I could get a card from Dog, it can't be done. Didn't you hear the rules? Last time around, if someone operated your tablet, you be executed. But this time, operating someone else's computer gets you executed. In other words, there's no way to access computer. And there's no way to force someone to give up a card.
Well, that's not necessarily true now, is it?
Rooster? You've got an idea for us? Don't you, buddy?
Just because you'll be executed for using someone else's computer doesn't mean that you can't do it. And if you're quick enough, you could surely make at least one move. We just need someone expendable to sacrifice himself for the group. So come on now, one of you volunteer. Surely, there must be at least one among you who wishes to die a martyr.
Rooster, I don't know if that's...
Enough. What's more important is the investigation rules. What did what did everyone who checked somebody find? Did anyone have more cards than they should have?
Ox looked around the room, only to be met with a wave of shaking heads.
What? Surely one of you saw something.
Unfortunately, Ox, these results appear to indicate that the check gives you the number of cards the person in your lock had at the end of the turn, meaning somebody could have handed off the tiger card to Dog, and we'd be none the wiser.
It appeared the search was fruitless. Well then, first things first. A tiger win is off the table. Tiger, you should try and unload those points. Give your most valuable cards to the people who get the least amount of points from them. The rest of us will, I don't know, keep checking the amount of cards each other has. I need to think.
With an absent look in his eyes, Ox wandered off. And like that, the group began to scatter. But now, we were directionless. We didn't have a plan. People were beginning to panic. Panic was beginning to spread, and that was the cat's true goal, wasn't it? Still, something about the results being shown seemed wrong to me. I decided to try pacing on the first floor. That always helped me focus. I walked around the whole area, focused on the results. What was wrong with them? What was rubbing me the wrong way? Despite concentrating quite a bit, I couldn't come up with it. I decided to look for Ox. He was a good person to bounce ideas off of. After a bit of search, I found Ox sitting in a classroom on the second floor. So you have thought enough?
I doubt I'd be able to think enough given a few hours, much less a few minutes. Basically, the issue I keep running into is the fact that we don't know who the traitor is. It also looks like the traitor intends to sink us no matter the cost. If you also factor in the fact that Snake's theory about the cat relaying the right moves to the traitor, and combine it with the fact that the cat is specifically sending us the cards we need to mess with us. The possibility of a no-winner situation is a lot more likely than I like to admit. I think it's the best course of action is to, as I said, focus solely on checking each other. This will make it incredibly difficult for the traitor to do much of anything. As the rounds go on, there will be more and more cards on the commune table. Eventually, when they're only adding 2 cards at a time, we regroup and try to come up with a better plan.
I think that's a pretty reasonable idea.
I think so too. But I don't particularly feel great about it.
Yeah, I can see that. Say, do you think... To be honest, I don't quite know what I had planned on asking Ox. The train of thought was interrupted when I heard a loud scream. The scream of a woman. It came from a nearby classroom, somewhere on the same floor. Immediately, Ox and I ran out to try and identify the source of the noise. On the second floor, we saw Bunny and Monkey also running out from the nearby library. We didn't have time to talk. We just made our way to where the noise came from. The classroom where Dog's exploded body lay. Says Pig. Ox tried to push open the door, but something was blocking the way. He shoved in the door again, and it made but an inch's progress. Just then, Bunny moved Ox out of the way and began to shove on the door. With Bunny's efforts, it began to crack open. It appeared the door was blocked off by the bookshelf I had seen in the room earlier. Once there was enough room to enter, Bunny made his way in, as did the rest of us. Entering, we were immediately struck by the realization that this place was pitch black. Not just lights off black, but pitch black. As our group slowly blindly made our way into the room, I suddenly felt a body crash into mine. I fell to the floor, and landed squarely on my ass. Ow. By the commotion, it sounded like I wasn't the only person knocked into. In this commotion, we heard the door slam shut. What the hell? Just as I was getting to my feet, the light turned on. Stupid Ox had found the light switch by blindly patting on the wall. Once the light was on, Bunny went over to the door. He tried to open, but he struggled to get it open. Damn it! Somebody's holding it shut! Horse? His determination to open the door was understandable. He wanted to see who had fled from the room. But it struck me as rather odd. After all, in the other corner of the room, Kay was lying dead in a chair right by Dog's computer. Her neck was slashed by some sort of blade instrument. Blood was all over the place. Hick, no! How on earth, why would... I was struggling to stay on my feet. Once again, someone who was alive but half an hour ago lay dead in front of my eyes. Not just dead, murdered. Finally, Bunny pried the door open. He made his way outside, and Monkey, Ox, and I immediately followed him. However, outside the room, there was nobody to be seen. Oh. Then, moments later, Tiger came running in from the left staircase. Hey, I heard commotion. What's going on? Right after that, Sheep ran in from the right staircase. I thought I heard a lot of shouting. Before long, everyone was gathered in the classroom. That gathering process had given me plenty of time to digest Pet Pig's death. And it wasn't sitting right with me. It felt cold, like a stone sitting in the bottom of his stomach. She didn't deserve this. She didn't deserve this at all. And yet she died. Just like anyone might, she died. Murdered. By somebody. Likely somebody in the school. I hated this. I hated this. I hated this. No. Focus. Flip the switch. Let go of the fear. I shouldn't be scared. I should be angry. I should be livid. I should be determined to find the culprit. So, tell me if I'm getting this wrong. Mouse, Ox, Bunny, Monkey. You all heard Pig scream out. Probably from the whole being murdered thing. You went over to the scene of the crime. You tried to get in, but the criminals knocked over this bookcase to buy your time. But still, you make your way in, determined to catch them. Unfortunately, it's too dark to see anything. And in this darkness, the killer makes their escape, knocking into the lot of you. That appears to be the case, yes. It's so frustrating. We had them. And yet, in the darkness, the chaos, they somehow got away. I don't deserve to call myself a cop. Don't say that like being cop is some fucking badge of honor. Still, I must ask, what was Pig doing here? By the looks of things, she was sitting down to use the computer. But I should know that this is Dog's computer, not hers. And the murder didn't even happen when the computer should have been usable. No. I think I know what happened to her. You do? Pig said that she was going to try to hack into one of these computers to try and help us all. I encouraged her. And here she is, dead. This is my fault. Because of me, she went ahead and did something stupid. And now she's dead. Mouse, calm down. Remember to breathe. Listen to me. This isn't your fault. The only person at fault, the only person possible at fault, is the killer. Not you. But then, if Pig was doing something that might expose the mastermind, doesn't it mean the person who killed Pig was the mastermind? I don't think that's possible. There are too many people in the school walking around. If they went inside, the chance that someone would stumble across them are pretty high. I just don't see them taking a risk. But then, Pig's killer is one of us. But then, why would any of us kill Pig?
We discussed the possibility of a traitor, did we not? Pig attempt to something the mastermind would not like. It's reasonable to assume that the traitor might act on their behalf.
No one knew what to say to that.
It's truly tragic. If only I had known what Pig was doing in this room when I tried to enter earlier, I wouldn't have left so early.
Wait, you came by here earlier, Snake?
Yes, unfortunately the door was locked then.
Locked? Do you mean it was locked by a bookshelf?
No, I mean it was locked. I can tell the difference.
Oh.
Anyways, after discovering that ours was locked, I left the area. Eventually, I ran into Bunny, who was interviewing Rooster in the classroom on the first floor.
I can confirm that. Inspired by Mouse, I've been trying to get people's statements on various things, see if that'll help us sort anything else. After Snake entered, I finished my interview with Rooster. I wandered there for a bit until I found Monkey reading a book in the library. Indeed, Bunny did catch me reading in the library. The two of us had an interesting chat from there, until we were interrupted by... Monkey didn't feel like saying anything beyond that. We could fill in the gaps ourselves.
So you know what it means?
What?
It means it wasn't me! After all, I was always with someone in the entire round. Thus, I'm clear from suspicion.
Trust me, Rooster. Nobody thought you were behind this.
No way! What's that supposed to mean?
Are we done here? If so, I want to leave. I have no desire to be in a room with a murderer.
Or a dead body.
Yeah, das place things. Like that, one by one, everybody funneled out of the room. Until eventually it was just Ox and I in the room. So it appears. The group's not going to even attempt to solve this case.
What do you expect? They're not a crime-solving team. They're a bunch of scared strangers who have a really high possibility of dying very soon.
I suppose. But the only way we can certainly put an end to this is to stop the traitor.
Ox, who do you even think the traitor is? Like, what are they getting out of it?
It could be any number of things. Perhaps the traitor's being blackmailed. Maybe they're doing it for the money. Maybe they're in league with their captor. Although in the last scenario, we'll also have to try and figure out our captor's motive. Another rather significant mystery.
You're right.
Last time sucked,
but I could get what the Jedi Emperor was going for. Very clearly was a weird act of revenge, as well as a really roundabout way of testing our characters. But this?
Oh, schluck off.
It's as though it's being done for, I don't know how else to see it other than it being done for fun. Some twisted psychopath version of fun at any rate.
You're not incorrect. Still, it's probably a waste of time to try and solve such a big picture things. Instead, let's try and do what we can here.
Do what we can, huh? Yeah, that seems about right.
Pig,
I don't know I didn't know you super well, but you seem decent. At the very least, I'm convinced you risked your life trying to save us all. It might not have worked out, but I wouldn't let your death be in vain. So then, time to begin investigation.
Where to investigate? The bookshelf. Okay.
I decided to take a look at the bookshelf that had blocked our way earlier. It was still toppled on the floor, pushed away from the northern wall by the door opening. A bunch of books were all piled on the floor next to it. And with all those books on the floor, I noticed something. This is weird.
What's weird?
All the books are out of the bookshelf.
That tends to happen when it's shoved down and pushed away, mouse.
No, I mean all of the books have fallen out. I get spillage, but surely there'd still be some books inside the bookshelf. But instead, they're all on the floor around it.
Oh, you're right. It's as though the books were thrown onto the floor before the bookcase toppled.
But why would anyone do that?
Don't ask me. When we're not noting oddities, I think I found something strange as well.
Hit me with it.
Looking at the marks on the floor, it appears that the bookcase was pushed towards the eastern wall before even being toppled. If it was shoved down from where it initially stood, it would have completely blocked off the doorway. Hell, it might even hit the western wall. But this bookcase was shoved away from the wall and then toppled over.
Ah.
Well, I can actually think of an explanation for that. As I said, if it was shoved where it was already standing, it could have impacted the western wall. If the bookcase was just leaning against the wall, it would have been a lot easier to shove out of the way. Maybe the culprit thought of that ahead of time and moved the bookshelf a bit before shoving it down. In fact, that might explain the books as well. With all the books out of the bookshelf, it'd be a lot lighter and easier to move.
Huh. If that was the case, the killer sure had their wits about them. To notice that the bookshelf was too close to the wall, and then to empty the bookshelf just to move it slightly before shoving it over? Was that a reasonable explanation? Was that a reasonable sequence of events?
Okay. Als nächstes die Fenster.
And the windows definitely drew attention. The blinds were uncovering them, but it wasn't just that. The blinds were taped down onto the wall to completely seal off all potential light. The duct tape used to do that was sitting conspicuously on the student's desk.
So the killer taped down the window's blinds. I guess they really didn't want to sink them, which makes sense, of course.
But Ox, when did they have the time to do this? I mean, there's two windows on the south wall there, and they're both taped up. After killing Pig,
did the killer really have time for something like that? Well, it's not like we got to the scene instantly. Plus, the door was blocked, so that surely bought us some time.
So you're saying that the murder went something like, the killer slashes Pig, she cries out in pain. Immediately, the killer runs over the bookshelf and topples it by time. Then they grab some duct tape and quickly tape the blinds over the windows? Finally, they turn off the lights and wait, presumably right as we're finally getting in?
That's what this scene would suggest.
Sure, but for the killer to immediately spring into action like that, it seems unbelievable.
Well, we're not dealing with an amateur, that's for sure. Whoever the killer is, they're intelligent, determined, and dangerous. It's frightening to be sure.
It sure is, Ox. It sure is.
It sure is. Jetzt den Körper.
You couldn't do any investigation without examining the body, right? As disgusting as it was, I had to take a look.
Oh no.
Sure enough, Pig's body was collapsed onto the seat, facing towards the computer. The computer just had the same waiting screen all the computers did. If Pig had hacked the computer, it sure didn't show it. Her neck was split with a bladed object, and she probably bled to death very quickly after that. Sitting on the desk next to the computer was the damn golden knife from Dog, covered in blood. So then Pig was killed with the golden knife?
One would assume.
That seems weird to me.
Oh, and why is that?
I mean, think about it. Where did they get the knife?
From Dog's exploded body, I'd imagine. I mean, the explosion wasn't that big. It mostly affected his stomach. See, look, the bottom half of his legs are mostly fine. Sure, the culprit could have gotten a knife from Dog's boot.
Okay, first up, disgusting. Secondly, that's my point. Someone just grabs a knife from Dog's corpse and Pig just keeps on hacking away?
She might not have noticed if she was focused enough on the hacking.
But would she just keep on obliviously hacking if anyone was in the room with her? I mean, we were on high alert, thinking there was a traitor among us.
It must have been someone Pig trusted.
But it's Pig we're talking about. Given the situation, do you think there was anybody amongst us who she would trust?
I suppose not.
In my opinion, from the state of the crime,
I think
the most likely situation is that the culprit walked into the room and slit Pig's neck without her even noticing. But that's why the weapon is messing with me. There's no way the killer could have collected it without Pig noticing.
So then, what are you saying? What does it mean? Oh! The killer took the weapon earlier, or there was a different murder weapon. Das gefällt mir.
What if Pig's neck was slit with something else? Then, after the fact, the killer grabbed the old knife from Doc's corpse and made it look like the murder weapon.
Well, without a forensic team, it's impossible to disprove the theory. But in the case, why make it look like the golden knife was the real weapon? What was the killer trying to hide?
That's,
I don't know.
it was a confusing situation, but surely it means something, right? I tucked the information in the back of my mind and kept going.
So let's off the door! I decided to give the actual door to the room a look.
The doorway was right by the western wall.
Snake mentioned the room being locked earlier.
After looking at it, sure enough, from inside the room, the door handle had a turnable lock on it. Weird. Really weird.
I guess Snake was telling the truth.
Probably. But doesn't it bring up a whole new set of problems? I mean, why bother with knocking off the bookshelf if the door already had a lock on it?
Well... Perhaps the killer didn't know about the room's lock?
In that case, how did the killer get in the room in the first place? I mean, right? If Pig locked the room to hide her hacking, which, fair enough, then how did the killer get access?
I don't know, Mouse. It's certainly odd.
I kept looking at the door, looking for anything out of place, and that's when I saw it. Is this glue?
Let me see.
Ox moved closer to inspect what I was looking at. Sure enough, there seemed to be traces of glue on the inside of the door and the inside of the doorway.
This actually makes a certain amount of sense. There's surely a lot of glue around the school. There might have been some in this very room. If the killer was manually holding the door so Bunny couldn't open it, then they'd be by the scene of the crime when he finally got it open. So instead, the killer must have glued the side of the door before fleeing to hold us off.
Right. For once, something was setting up in this crime scene. Just to be sure, I kept inspecting the door, looking for anything out of place. I thought it was just a waste of time, until I noticed something else. High up in the crack between the door and its hinges, I saw some more traces of glue. Now, what would glue be doing up there?
I suppose it could also be there to try and keep the door locked, but it's certainly not where one would typically apply glue. I made sure to take mental note of that.
Well, I think that's about everything to look at here.
I have to agree. So, did you figure anything out?
To be honest, I couldn't say that I did. But at the very least, I had figured out that something wasn't right. This is just really exhausting.
We don't have time to be exhausted, frankly.
Sad. But true. God, why does everything have to be so complicated?
Well, let's try to keep things simple. Let's think about who could have messed with the Tiger Cards. Was ein Tiger? Okay, das ist ein ganz anderes Thema, von daher machen wir das im nächsten Part, denn dieser Part dauert schon ganz lange. In diesem Part ist eine Menge passiert. Im nächsten Part wird es vielleicht wahrscheinlich genauso spannend, denn gerade geht eine Menge Sachen falsch und alles läuft schief. Aber das sehen wir dann im nächsten Part bei Zodiac Trial. Tschüss!